Okay, welcome to the lesson on sensory acuity. Now, your communication is only as good as the information you own. Now, gathering the right information is very, very important because that distinguishes whether you get on with those who you want to get on with and not. So therefore, you're not being exploited by others who do get on with other people, those people in power of exploitation. Now, these exercises will help improve your sensory acuity, as we did. Remember, we went through ready to explore those senses: the kinesthetic, visual, auditory, and audiologic. I don't know if you remember. If I get these done. Mr. Spark. Okay, that's what we're waiting for. Okay, what's your communication style? Remember, we went through, your communication style test. So let me go through what many of you have requested on what I went through in class. Now, kinesthetic. Those who are kinesthetic take their time to process information because they feel. Now, they breathe from the bottom of their lungs, because they're taking the whole experience of breathing as well. It's very kinesthetic. They speak and move deliberately. They're more in tune with their body needs and often have a slower pitched and lower pitched voice. They wear comfy clothes. Again, if you could see the rhythm here, it's all to do with kinesthetic. It's all to do with body comforts. Okay. Then you have the auditory. They often have their arms folded and head slightly tilted when they're thinking and talking to themselves. They breathe from the middle of the chest. They talk to themselves and like silence when working. They remember things verbally and can repeat exactly what you said and how you said it. I mean, you're talking accent, pauses and everything. And because they remember steps, synchrony, steps, rhythms. Again, they enjoy talking on the phone, listening to music, and are very sensitive to tonality, steps, and sequences. Now, visual people, they process information far quicker than others because they're using pictures. They get frustrated with lower paced people. They move around faster than others, and particular about their physical appearance. They like to stand tall and often back from the crowd in order to see the whole picture, and they particular where they sit in restaurants as well. We did sort of chuckle on that one. Now, the audio digital, they're very flexible and can take on characteristics of other styles and systems. They're quite logical and more so mentally aware. As a result, they can disassociate their feelings. They are very practical as a result, and their versatility, but can become too influenced by others or false evidence. They ask lots of questions and make sense of the world in order to make sense of the world around them, often asking for evidence, read a lot, where's this from, and what have you. Okay. Now, the problem with audio digital inclined representational systems, is the fact that they can associate too much with scientific evidence rather than their own feelings, because they, as a result, can disassociate their feelings. Okay. Now, what was in your booklets was the sensory perceptual strategy programs. Now, it sounds like a real big mouthful, but I'll tell you what it is. It's very, very simple, and it's something that you've been doing already, and it sort of goes as an extension to your communication style. Now, it's how you take in the information. It's using your dominant style and then your second most dominant style and then third, and that way. So you have, for example, if there's a dominant style of visual, and then second dominant is auditory, third dominant is kinesthetic, and the last is the audio digital. That is the VAKAD sensory strategy program. Okay. The reason why this is very important to know is because when you're speaking to someone, you want to make them understand your point of view, and your point of view may not always be in visual terms. It may have to be in auditory terms. I mean, you don't want to end up in this scenario here. where one person is trying to speak to them, the other visual person doesn't see it. Kinesthetic is trying to speak to a logical person with feeling, and the logical person does not get it. Okay. And the reason why I say this is, imagine a world where you're getting along with everyone you meet. Your bosses come to you for your views because they cannot understand the communication style with their advisors. You managing to get in touch to your children and your grandchildren by knowing their style. Your negotiations in life become so much more easier. Okay, so remember we did the visual, auditory, kinesthetic, and audiological. Now the three modalities, which is visual, auditory, and kinesthetic, also have sub-modalities. So for example here, you will have a visual, and the sub-modality for that will be color, brightness, contrast, focus, texture, detail, size, distance, shape, border, location, movement, orientation, association, dissociation, perspective, proportion, dimension, singular and plural. Auditory would have location, pitch, tonality, melody, inflection, volume, tempo, rhythm, duration, mono and stereo. And kinesthetic will be intensity, quality, location, movement, direction, speed and duration. Now the reason why I go into sub-modalities is because the questions you want to ask a visual person may be around the sub-modalities. Okay, for example, so we have a child, for example. They're very modalic in the sense that they're very much orientated around their modalities. So the only way you can get through to them, if you want to ask questions, get information out from them, is through sub-modalities. So then you ask them, was it black, white? Do you want black, white? What about the full color spectrum? How bright or dull are the colors? You want to ask a visual child them specific questions, and an adult really. Then the brightness, you go into brightness. When looking, does it appear brighter or darker than normal? Now, these types of questions, so modality questions, are very important when helping someone through their emotional trauma or even therapy. So when you go into therapy, you'll notice where specific questions will signal specific emotions, and these submodality distinctions really help when you're trying to get to the bottom of something. Often, and I say kids, children a lot, I use them as examples a lot because I believe children are very modalic. Again, they're very much into their senses, and they cannot communicate any other way. Okay, so if you want, we can always discuss this in class, and it's obviously in your booklets. So feel free to bring your booklets, and we can discuss this further. It's not a problem at all. I mean, this is why we do flip classrooms, so you can discuss the specifics that you want to discuss, rather than me just lecturing and you listening. Now, with regards to these, we also have the modalities where we go into, sub-modalities where we go into, is it hazy, observe, flash, focus, bright, scene, perspective, imagine, view, vista, see, picture, perceive, notice, look. These are all the words that we're going to use when we speak to specific sensory perceptions with regards to people's communication style, with regards to where their eye movements move, with regards to where they're specifically at. Okay, and some people are unspecified, so then you can use the unspecified indicator where you can indicate, consider, motivate, plan, anticipate, create. They're unspecified. And then you can use other stuff where gustatory and olfactory senses come into mind. If you want someone to feel feel the fresh taste of something, that you have just tasted, then you go into senses of olfactory and gustatory where it feels fresh, it smells fresh, it tastes bland, stale. It smells stale. It smells fresh. It tastes fresh. Tastes bitter. Even smells bitter. Salty, nutty, delicious. Salivate. Spoiled. Smell. Fragrant. Stink. Reek. Aroma. Pungent. Sour. Sweet. And what have you. Carries on. Okay. Again, we could always discuss this further in class. That's not a problem at all. But what I'm trying to say is this is your NLP communications model. So, for example, what would happen is you will have an external event, which is number one. Then this external event will filter information through your senses, the smell, hearing, eyes, even taste, even your ideology of any similar situation. Then it will process through the filters in your mind. So your emotional filters, your memories, your experiences of previous things, and your beliefs and your values will come in then. Then it produces a state of mind and body language. And then number 5, it results in the behavior of your reaction. Now this happens really, really fast, and it's something that you've probably been doing unknowingly. And when you have an incident and you think, oh God, why did I go through and why did I behave like that? Then it's actually to do with not the external event as much as it's to do with the information received by your senses and the most of all the process through the filters in your mind. And the most important thing is that these things can be changed. Okay. Thank you very much. Have a good day.